So hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Chinyere and you're welcome to this episode or this edition of the Couch Moments. Now, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you all so much for being a part of this family, and I appreciate you all so much. Now for today, this is actually a video that I had recorded previously, but it was all over the place. I talked about most of the things I talked about before, but in the video, there was a lot of, it gave me a perspective, on how I wanted to talk about this, So for me, the topic of this video is intimacy and sex in marriage. Now, before I move on further, this topic also was born out of an exchange I had with a friend of mine or someone. Well, he's actually a friend on Twitter. I told you Twitter is a wonderful place to be, right? So now, mind you, he's not married, but I think before marriage, that I think all of us or most of us, tend to test the waters. Permit me to say that, but in this particular instance, I do not want to make it only for married couples. I want to generalize it. As much as I want to make it about married couples, I want to generalize it, because it will be I would be in denial if I said that I'm not aware that there are lots of people indulge in in intimacy, be in a relationship or in a marriage. I wouldn't say that there isn't a level of intimacy that's involved. That would be lying on my part. So I just want to generalize it. I don't want to just stick it to married couples, because I also believe that what you learn and what you know at the time when you're single helps a lot also when you get married. So first of all, I want to start by saying that this topic, first of all, I'm going to come out with most of the things that is wrong with society when it comes to intimacy and sex. One of the things is, first of all, it's a very uncomfortable subject for a lot of people. It's a very uncomfortable subject especially women, and this is actually, I'm actually going to be talking a lot to women here as well, and men as well. So it's, first of all, it's uncomfortable. A lot of people are not comfortable expressing themselves when it comes to sex. And I will tell you, even I there are in certain circles, it just doesn't fly. But that is not to say I'm not comfortable. It's just that there is just this thing about it, and I think for a lot of people, we have to get to know each other. I have to know this person, to a certain level or something like that. On another area, a lot of people, who talk about it, or who want to talk about it, don't want to be deemed or assumed to be this person talks anyhow, or is vulgar or something. A lot of people are like that, and I would say here that I think it's very wrong to be prejudiced over people or to people on certain things or in certain subjects. I will tell you, I've been a victim of prejudice, and it's not fun, and it's not nice at all. It really does a lot of harm than good. But at the end of the day, it's also very hard for us in a society to be very neutral, and objective in certain things. So one of these things is it's difficult for people to even talk about. Now, secondly, I also am of the belief that, and quote me if I'm wrong, but I feel so strongly, and I'm of the belief that religious institutions have caused more harm than good, when it comes to, sexual intimacy in a marriage, or in a normal setting. One of the reasons I say this is, you know, we cannot run away from the fact that this thing is happening everywhere, every day around us. Animals do it, birds do it, alligators do it, snakes do it, humans do it. Am I communicating somebody? You know, so it's a part of life. It's a part of who we are. And I cannot help but feel, you know, strongly that religious institutions have become a thorn in the flesh when, you know, certain things like this arise. And I'm going to tell you why, you know, in a bit. I have it, you know, somewhere in my head, but I'm going to go, you know, I'm going to bring it out all in a bit. For this video as well, I just want to also put it out there, please, if you're going to leave comments here, I do not want immature people here, and I do not want childish comments here. I want people who are mature. I want people, you know, who actually seek help for stuff like this, because it's actually an issue. You know, it's actually something, it's actually a big deal, you know. And, you know, like I said, I've been a victim of prejudice, and I also do it to other people, and it's wrong because, you know, sometimes, you know, you see somebody and you're like, huh? You know, and you're like, what? You know, that kind of thing. Without trying to understand where, you know, this is coming from, or why this person is this way, or why, or what circumstances led to this. It's very wrong, you know. So, now that said, and now that out of the way, you know, I'm going to now go in. Now, first of all, I'm going to ask, you know, this question is for you ladies, okay? Is it solely the man who has a right to intimacy? Is it, you know, that's the first question, you know, I have to put out there. Secondly, why is it hard for women, you know, to be intimate? Or, and I have my own ideas, I have my own thoughts, I have my own, you know, ideologies I'm going to put out here, but I also want to hear why it could be an issue for you. Now, going back to, you know, my story. So I was in this, you know, it was a back and forth, you know, conversation, and this is a man who understood, you know, for him, he had a clear idea of what he wanted to, you know, give his partner, you know, intimately. And, you know, in truth, for a man from Africa who was able to speak to me that way and freely, you know, I was impressed. Because it's not a common thing in Africa, especially in Nigeria, where we come from. Yes, I will tell you that. So I was really impressed, you know, when he was able to tell me, you know, his preferences, the things he likes to do, or, you know, that kind of thing. I was like, okay, homie, you know, you got it down to the T, you know. But at the end of the day, something he said, you know, got me, and he was like, that's most of the time when he has to, you know, be with women intimately, that he gets women who more or less, you know, chastise him for being intimate with them, who do not want what he's offering, or tell him, I've heard the dumbest things, you know, here. And I'm like, really? He was like, yes, you know, that's, you know, he said one of them, you know, he told me he enjoys going down on a woman and stuff like that. And he said that, you know, in the setting where he's been, that there are women who have told him that it's degrading of him, it's, you know, it makes him not a man. My mouth was like this. I said, you say what? Come again. Something is going on here. But, you know, I was shook, you know, I was shooketh, you know, because I never heard it before. You see, that's me, but, you know, I'm saying this is, you know, an issue in our society that we have, you know, that kind of thing. So, you know, all this came up, and I was like, okay, this is quite interesting, and I decided to talk about it. And also, I was also asked because I have some, you know, followers on Twitter who asked me, and who also told me that I should actually do, you know, a video on this. So finally, and it's long overdue, so here it is. I want to tell, you know, the men, first of all, that one, you have to understand that a lot of us women, we're not groomed in this, you know, in this way. We're not groomed to understand that we were we're human beings. We're not groomed to understand that we deserve intimacy, and we can ask and demand for intimacy. We're not groomed to understand that it's natural. We're not groomed to understand that, you know, it is something that, you know, it's pleasurable as well. We are not groomed to understand that. That's one of the things, you know, I want to make us understand, or make, you know, fellow men out there understand. In the part of the world where I come from, especially in Nigeria, I know a lot of African countries also have similar, you know, issues. That's not the grooming we have. It's a taboo to talk about intimacy. It's a taboo to talk about certain things that concern your body, or whatever it is that has to do with a man. It is taboo, you know, that you can even come to your parents and say, oh, I have a boyfriend. It is not heard of. Okay? So I would ask, you know, for our men folk, you know, in this regard, to be very, very, you know, I would say understanding. I don't want to use the word patient, but you have to understand this fact first. Now, in a world where we live in, where we have, you know, access to so many, you know, to a wealth of information out there, you know, I would say, you know, to fellow men, okay, this is an opportunity for you to understand and then get to make, you know, your lady or your partner, how to get them to be comfortable and confide in you, and, you know, be confident in themselves, be confident in whom they are, be confident in their sexuality, be confident in their intimacy with their partner, being able to speak. Now, this is where, you know, I will tell you as, you know, men, that you now get to, you know, help. For those of you who know what you're doing, all right? Okay, I'm coming. Yeah, I've not finished. Right. Now, that aside, I also want to address, you know, another thing, you know, that's why I said, you know, for those who know what they're doing. Now, in this regard as well, there are many men who do not know, who don't have a clue what they're doing, you know, intimately or in intimacy. They have no clue. And that's why the question, you know, begs, is it solely a man that, you know, deserves, or he should be want to initiate it, or, you know, many of them have no clue what to do. Many of them have no clue, you know, that, you know, a lady or your partner, you know, must or should be must be satisfied, you know, in that regard. Many men don't have a clue. Now, I want to go into, what I'm saying is because I also, there's a lady, I'm going to talk about this later, you know, if time permits. And because what I'm saying is that there's a lady I met sometime, and, you know, while we talk as women, and there in the discussion, we talked about, you know, having orgasms. And she was like, what is that? Mind you, this person has 5 kids. And I you know, we looked at her like, what? And she was like, what was that? And this is what comes to mind. There are many men who are out there who think that it is for them only. How do you have 5 kids by a woman, and you've never bothered about her sexual satisfaction? How does that happen? That's utterly selfish. Okay, I do not want to go into a lot of, you know, dynamics or ask a lot of questions, because there are sometimes when you begin to do certain things that, you know, because out of discussion, and, you know, you could cause more problem than, you know, what exists. But my question is, how do you as a man be in that? That is utterly selfish. Okay, and 5 kids by the same lady. No, I'm sorry, you know, that's wrong. That's totally wrong. And, you know, I would also say this, that as women, you should demand it. You know, see a lot of women who, they don't know what it is, they don't care, they just, you know, and then boom, they are pregnant. It happens a lot in our society. Many of them do not know what it is to reach an orgasm. And, you know, it begs the question is, are you satisfied? You have to know. You really have to know. So for the men, you know, it's not just for you, it's for both of you. Okay? Now, another thing is, you know, you have to understand as a man is that, you know, while a woman takes a while to get there, for you guys already know what you want. You already know where you're going. You know where you want to arrive. For the women, we can decide we want to go to Paris now. And then on the way, we now decide, okay, it's going to be Milan. You know, and probably on the way to, Milan, I say, no, I think, Greece, Mykonos is much better. You know, that kind of thing. So you have to understand that it takes us a while to get there. And you have to be able to work with that. And you have to be able to do it, And listen, I will tell you categorically, it takes a level of connection to be able to do this. So, no, in my opinion, it's not only for you, the man, to initiate this, but it is also for you as the woman as well to be able to be comfortable in your skin and connect. Connection is very important in this. You must be able to connect with the person you're dealing with. Because if there is no connection, then it will be difficult for you, both of you, to have this conversation. Now, to the women, I will go, the other, to the opposite of what I said, men. While I am aware for a lot of us women that we were not groomed in this capacity, I will also tell you that, you must be able to know your body. A lot of women do not know their bodies. A lot of women do not know what makes them happy, what pleases them. A lot of women do not know. Many of them are like, oh, my first sexual encounter was so. It was very painful. But after that, what did you learn? And like I said, we live in a society right now where we are filled with a wealth of information that you cannot deny, if you decide purposely to keep yourself ignorant, it's your loss. Okay? So read. Find materials that interest you, because you don't know if you like BDSM. Yes, it's a thing. All right? BDSM, it's a thing. You do not know if you like that. You don't know if you like, vanilla. You don't know if you like, being hanged upside down and, that kind of thing. You don't know all these things. You can only know when you find out for yourself. All right? So I think, it's important that as women, we have to explore your body, know what you want. I've seen a video on an erotic massage. It was the craziest thing I'd ever seen. And it was supposed to be a massage. And the massage was strictly for the pleasure of the massagee, not the massager. So these are things you have to be able to indulge in. You have to, and while talking about this, you have to also be comfortable with your body. I see a lot of people who come out and it's almost naked. My dear, I think as a woman and as a lady, you should be comfortable being able to show off some skin. I think that's also one of the ways to that. I don't know, I do it. I enjoy showing off skin. All right, not overly, but I do from time to time. A little shoulder here, as you guys can see, sometimes a little cleavage, sometimes a little back. And I think being able to be comfortable with yourself in your skin, helps. Touch yourself, know your body. All right, it's important. Now, moving on, for women as well, if you meet a brother who's ready to know and help you to do all the things you want to do, listen, or you don't even know about, it's called being adventurous. Indulge. Okay? You meet a brother who is willing to go down on you. You will meet a brother who is willing to do things that, they may sound mundane or they may sound okay. As long as you're not going to be bleeding, as long as there's no blood being drawn, it's called being adventurous. And while you're doing that, have a safe word. Okay? These are all things that, you know, leads you to pleasure and intimacy. So it may be something that you don't know, or you're not aware of, or you don't know how to go about. Fine, but then have a safe word, so that if it's uncomfortable, you use the safe word and then it stops. But you must be able to, you know, also initiate it. I've heard, you know, countless stories about, you know, things like this. Now, I also want to go, you know, further, the religious institutions. I think that the fact that religious institutions want to keep the holier than thou image, and that because someone somewhere who is supposed to be a cleric somewhere, because he has decided that because, or to himself, that he is holier than thou, begins to pump, you know, his congregation or his followers, his own, listen, you have to understand it, it's their own vision of what it should be. And I will tell you for a fact, it's wrong. At the end of the day, when the religious bodies come and start talking about, no, it's just, I've heard the one that said that, no, it is just for procreation. Who said that? Who told you that? You know, I've heard the ones that said, no, don't do this, don't go from the back, don't go from the front, no. And I've heard all sorts. And I would say this, where do they get this from? Is my question. Where is this coming from? Where do they get this from? And it is being pummeled into the heads of people far and wide. Marriages begin to collapse. Relationships begin to die because there is a loss in transmission, in intimacy. Total loss in transmission. Now, I can sit down here and say this because I went through the motions. And I recall when I met my husband, you know, I had nothing to do with anyone. I was celibate for a while, okay, before I met my husband. And it was on purpose. And I will never forget when I met my husband, and, you know, because my husband and I, we started off as friends. And as things began to unfold between us, you know, we found ourselves, you know, getting closer. And it was one of the things I told myself, I cannot fail to do this. It was hard because I was like, okay, I don't know this person is an Igbo man, you know. So I was like, okay, but I already, something had resigned within myself over the years because I said, no, I cannot continue to do this. This half-baked versions of, you know, intimacy, I can't do this, you know. And it was important for me and to me. So when I met my husband, it was something that for me, it was very important. It was like, the discussion was like, it was like something that, you know, it wasn't informal. No, it was very formal when I was having this discussion with him. You know, it was like, you know, we sat down somewhere. There was nothing to distract, nothing. And I had this discussion honestly with him. I said, listen, intimacy is important to me. Because when in his discourse, he had made me understand, you know, I had understood, okay, now in the course of that discourse, I had understood the kind of person that he happened to be. I also understood that, you know, he was aloof when it came to women. So it was a front. And, you know, for him, he had no thing to discuss with you after the deed was done. For him, that was it. And I was like, okay, I'm beginning to fall for this brother, but if this one is how it's going to be, more I watch, you know. And I told him, I was very upfront, and he was like, okay. I said, listen, I cannot do. Uncle, I can't, brother. It's not possible. If we're going to do this, I said, it cannot work. This is how it is for me. It's important to me. And, you know, he was like, okay, my husband is a typical Igbo man. I'm telling you people. And he was like, okay, so kawashit, you know. And he let me talk, and I explained myself, and I told him everything. And you know, he was like, hey, and he was smiling, you know, the silly man. He was just smiling, saying, hey. So I thought like this, you see, you know, I say, you see it now, you know, I look at it today and I laugh. But I'm glad I did it because I'm happy for it, you know. So I think, and I believe it's very important that, you know, there is this, you must be able to create this connection and tell your partner what you want. You should be able to speak freely. You should be able to, you know, move freely. You know, you should be able to, I know a lady, all right, she's been married for what, how many years with her husband. They got kids, but I tell you, she still finds it difficult to be nude in his presence. I was like, yeah, that's how bad stuff like this can be. When my husband met me, I remember I told him then, you know, because like I said, I was somebody, I became comfortable with who I am from the get-go, and you have to be able to do that. And I remember I told him, I said, I usually don't wear clothes. He said, hey? I said, yes. He said, but how have you been doing? We live? I said, yeah, we live in Europe. Yeah, I know, but I usually don't wear clothes. I was like, hey. But then the kids came, and then, you know, but you know, you know, it's hard, you know, it's really hard now. It's really, really hard now, you know. But I always try to look for, you know, things that are really, you know, and he knows, you know. Sometimes he's like, you know, and I know because sometimes it doesn't get to him negatively, understand me. I'm trying to be censor this so much so that, you know, YouTube will not demonetize and stuff like that. You know, he you know, most times when I float around in my, you know, my guy, you know, I'm like, why help me so that, you know, and I'm like, oh, don't worry, you'll be fine. But he knows, you see, you have to be able to do that. All right. So what I'm saying here in a nutshell is, first of all, that, you know, it's not only for the man, it's not strictly for the man's pleasure, it's for both of you. As a woman, initiate it. If he doesn't initiate it, talk to him about it. Tell him, all right? Because if it's funny to me when I hear in a relationship or in a marriage that someone says, that I've never been satisfied since I knew. Listen, it is a, and I begin to, you ask yourself, what kind of relationship are you in? Because if you cannot tell this person, then that means you're going to be in a sort of bondage and probably see yourself having extramarital affairs. Yeah, it happens. I know a lot. Okay? Don't ask me how. So, like I was saying, so it must not just be the man who initiates it, but you could initiate it as a woman as well. Speak to him about it. Both of you should be able to speak to each other about it. Women, read, get to know your body, talk, go to watch movies, you know. Some people are into porn. I'm not a fan of it, but you also have books, you know, on stuff like this. You have romance, eroticas, there's so many of them. Indulge yourself. Nobody's stopping you. Do it. You know, I mean, whatever tickles your fancy, take it. Take your pick. It's there. You know, so that's for you ladies. Don't look at it like, yeah, no, I see a lot of women who do that. No, like I said, porn is not my cup of tea, but get yourself toys. Yes, it is not a taboo. It's a thing. It's happening. My camera stopped recording. So I was saying that this is something I'm going to say about religious institutions. I'm not going to tell you not to listen to what religious institutions have to say. No, I'm not going to do that. But what I'm going to tell you categorically, especially to married couples, is this. The moment you get married, all right, what happens in your bedroom with your hubby is your business. It's two of you business. It has nothing to do with any cleric. All right? I want to just make you understand that. And I want to quote again. The Bible says that a man leaves his family and his whatever, and he clings to you and you become one. You're his wife. Right? And he also said that whatever God has joined together, let no man put asunder. Which means, if you are in your marriage and before your husband gets down on you and he stops getting down on you because the cleric or man of God or man of dog open mouth and say it's wrong, he has put asunder. If a man of, if your husband, or you go down on your husband and you then stop it, and you know he enjoys it, you then stop it because man of dog said so, asunder is there. Anything that you used to do in your intimate moments, and then it begins to fade away and goes away because a man of dog or a woman of dog said something, that is asunder. So anything that, listen, because there are marriages where the couples indulge in threesomes. It's their marriage. It's their dynamic. It's their cup of tea. That's what they want. Okay? They have an understanding for that. They have marriages where, it's the man's pleasure that somebody else is with his. There are many whose business, that's how they get off of each other. So at the end of the day, what I'm just saying is, asunder comes in different ways and different fashion. It's all I'm saying. Now, very quickly, a lot of men do not even know or to even find out. They don't even know the bodies of their partners well enough to know if their partner is, has reached orgasm or is satisfied. Because when you know them and know very well, you would know. Most of the time, women, we are sensitive. When something is off, your partner should know. So it's a whole lot of, getting to know each other and connecting. I've forgotten, there was an important point I was trying to make, which I have forgotten, this. And it's for the men, actually, So, at the end of the day, so I'm going to finish up this video here. I don't remember what I was trying to say. Yes, and if you're a man, okay, it's not it, but I remember this one. If you're a guy or a man who actually indulges in all this, you seek to, in your intimacy, you seek to pleasure the woman, you get her, to want to get her there. Oh, well, it's very good, all right? If you are a man and you meet women, or a woman who begins to tell you, what is that? It will make you less than a man now. How can you? Don't do that. My dear, because you will only remain dissatisfied with yourself, and she's not even going to make your life easier, because probably once a week, so there's no point. Don't go there. Don't bother. And do not feel bad about yourself. Do not feel that there's anything wrong with you. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. You are perfectly fine. You are a man who knows what's up. Ima, how far? You get it? Good. So on this note, guys, like I said, I spoke to quite generally in this, and I would want to hear inputs. I know lots of people have issues with this. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Ask questions that you think, are important, or you think may elude you, or questions to ask your questions, and I will try to respond as clearly and as explicitly as I can in this. And yeah, this is where it ends for me. So thank you all so much for being a part of this episode of the Couch Moment. Feel free to like, share, comment. Please like this video because the likes do a lot for me, for my videos. So please like this video, and yeah, I'll see you guys pretty soon, and I love you all so much. Thank you so much. Bye.